Hello, it's Nick again. Welcome back, part 2 of our little UFO scene creation. I shan't procrastinate, we're just going to get right involved. So this is where we left off, and what I would like to do now while we're here is position the tree. So I've always got an above view in one window because it's just way easier to select stuff. So I'm going to bring their tree. I'm going to drop there. I think actually I'm just going to pan out with the camera a bit. I think I'd like a little bit more room. And I'm going to raise the UFO, but I'm also going to raise the camera a bit. Yeah. Okay. I might just move that. You know what? Yeah, let's just move that a little bit. Where is the camera? Oh, blast. It's here. So I'm going to go that way a bit. And I'm going to Alt-D that to clone it, rotate it a bit, and just drop it further back. And we'll do the one at the front in a bit. Okay, so if you head to your world properties, just put the strength down to 0.1 and change your sun strength. Mine's always at 20. Put that down to 2. And just give it a slight blue hue, because that's going to be moonlight. Okay. So for the sky, I'll put a link in the description for the image that I picked, but any old image will do. So yeah, sorry, I'd Shift A, image as planes, and then bring it in. And I'm going to face my camera with that and bring it right back. Centralize it. I might rotate it a little bit so it's a bit, yep, and then just scale that right up. And for the material, I normally just control right click, get rid of that, and then select your principled, Shift S, shader emission. Okay, and let's have a look. Okay. And then if you control B, we'll just make a box around our window. Okay, and I'm just gonna maybe scale that up a bit. I don't want too much. I kind of like that little bit of background. Bearing in mind it's clear we're looking kind of upwards. So cows. There's no point working in this, so I'm gonna grab. This guy looks like he's looking at the camera, as if he's going. So, you seen this, mate? Hey, Gaze, you seen this? It doesn't matter that he's standing in the air because he's not in the camera. So, yeah, you seen this, Gaze? I might take him a little bit further back. I don't want him to be the centre of focus. He is going to have to come down, or yeah, we'll just bring him down. Okay, so that's one cow. Let's pick another one. Which one's going to be the one that gets taken? I think this one. And we can do a cool thing with this. So I'm going to head into thingy mode. I'm going to set this guy into position first. So I want him to be underneath the UFO. And I am going to rotate him upwards because he's being pulled up. Now obviously when we've pulled these in, their legs are for standing, but we can very quickly fix that. If you head up to here and go into sculpt mode, press T if your menu's not over here, and then this one, pose, we can just pose his legs. So if you select the point, you see the line. If I press F and make that bigger, you see the line is joining. So I want the line to stop just at the joint, kind of there, I guess, and then I'm just going to bring it down. And I want to do just his knee, so I'm going to decrease the radius. That'll do. Do the same over this side, but maybe just the knee. No, on the leg actually. So yeah, just making sure that line goes from the point you want it to rotate from. So this guy, I'm going to have to bring that down a bit. Yeah, that'll do. Down a bit. Do his knees. Bush, and then just the knee for this one will do it, I reckon. Yep. Okay. Right. And then go back into object mode. So now we have our cow, but I'm going to rotate him on the Z because we need to see him. Or he was central. Well, I can bring him over a bit. Let's have a look at that. Okay. Oh, didn't mean to do that. I meant to do this. Okay, so let's get the light sorted. So if we shift right click, and just to put our 3D cursor here, and then let's add a light, and we're going to add a spot, which is pointing directly down. I'm also going to drag that. No, I'm not. Let's change the angle. I'm going to drag that so it's a bit wider, and a bit of that. And we're going to have to change this to something like 10,000 watts. Something like that. Yeah. Take that off. Okay, now to get the beam, what we want to do is, if I put my overlay back on, is I'm going to shift a mesh. Oh, sorry. If I press Shift C first, that will just centralize my cursor so I know where my plane's coming in. I'm going to rotate it on the X by 90, and I'm just going to line this up. So have I got proportional editing on? No, I haven't. So I want to pick points, Nick. So yeah, I'm just going to line these. We only need to do this. It's very, very simple shape, and just kind of match the cone of the light, something like that. And then if we add a solidify like this, and then just chunk it up to about that, apply that, add a subdivision surface to it, and we're going to put a loop cut in the middle just to make sure that goes all the way up to the ship, and a loop cut at the bottom to make sure that goes all the way in the ground. And then we can just press SY just to scale it on the Y and make that a bit more central to the UFO. Okay, and now we're just going to turn this into volume. So making sure that's selected. Let's give no, we don't need to give it a name. So new, and select your principled, Shift S to shader, volume scatter, and we want the density likely around 0.1, and also control right click and then stick volume into volume. So let's get into our camera view. So 0.05 is probably the spot. So if we lower the strength of our spot, actually put the radius to 1 meter, that'll soften it a bit. I'm going to head into EV mode because I want it a bit quicker than this. Okay. Right, so it's probably the spot. So I'm going to turn the spot down to, what did I have? 100, 50, 1, 2, 3, 20, 1, 2, 3. All right, 10, 1, 2, 3. Okay, that'll do it. Let's just go back into cycles. Have a butchers. Yeah, that's crazy. Stupid cow. I'd like to just put another couple of cows in position actually, so I'm going to select one of them who's not there yet. He's lying down. So let's put him. He's under the tree. He's taking refuge. We've got another one here. What's he doing? I can't see him. Let me just bring him to the camera so I can have a look at you. He's not bothered, but I am going to turn him. He should be bothered. There's a UFO nicking his mate, and I'm going to drop him down. Okay, let's just have a peek at that, shall we? This stupid cow. Okay, we should look at the grass. So let's click on our grass and particle settings, and I think the scale, I'm going to take that down to 0.03, which is going to dramatically reduce the size. Still quite high, so 0.02. Okay, it's going to require a large amount to not mess up your system. If you, for now, in your particle settings, just turn off the grass, click your plane. I'm going to put my overlay back on, and then in here go to weight paint and just paint the areas that's in the inside the camera's bounds. There's no point having grass all out here if we can't see it. It's taking up system power that's not necessary. And I'm just going to go up from above and just have a butcher's, make sure I've got all the bits I want. So realistically, we only need grass in this patch. So head back into object mode, and then under your particles, you've got vertex groups. If you just click density, click group, and then when we turn it on, it should all be localized to here. So the same number of particles should give us better looking grass. And it does. Okay, so now we just want to add the fog. So if we shift a mesh cube and then scale it up, in fact if we get into camera view, we just want to scale it so the camera's in there too. But what I don't want is a visible seam up here, so I'm just going to scale it. I'm going to need to rotate it, so I'm just going to rotate that a bit. And once I've rotated it, I'm going to now add a texture to it, so that we can, if you head into thingy mode actually, material preview, we need to add a input. No we don't. We need to add, yes we do, input texture coordinate. We want a gradient texture, and we want a color ramp. Okay, drop that in there. Generated is fine because that's what it's already using. And if we control shift click this, we want this black rotated on the top. We could do that using a mapping node, but the easier way is just change this to local, because we've already rotated this cube, and I believe it's going to be the Y. So RY90. And what we need to do, because I want this to be more gradiated than it is if we just move the black, we're just lowering it. That gradient's not changing, but we can change that with a shift A vector converter, vector math, drop it in there and change that to scale. And if we shift left click and go left, see how we're now making that gradient much smoother, but I still want a bit more on the bottom, so I'm just going to bring that up. Now we want to add because I want some texture to this, so add a texture, a noise texture, and drop in, we're going to use UVs for this, so let's just unwrap our cube, grab a color ramp, you'll do nicely, and let's have a look. And we're going to want to add some black into this, quite a bit, because we want clear separation between fog and not fog. Crank the detail up, and I'm going to add a bit of distortion. Right click by accident. Like that's cool, right? And then if we click on our principled and shift S, we want a volume scatter. And let's move these out of the way a second. We also need to join these two together. So if we shift A, color, mix color, and we want to put that one in the top, that one in the bottom, crank that up, put that and multiply. And if we control shift click this now, so this is creeping, this needs to be black, it's not black enough, so I'm going to add a bit more black to the gradient, something like that, because then it gives this illusion there is actually a bit of undulation at the top. And if we plug that into the color of the volume scatter, and the volume scatter into the volume, and then we don't want anything in the surface, so if we get back into our view and then go into cycles, viewport render mode, and let's bring the density down to 0.5. Something like that. And now over here we can now mess with the noise texture, because we can introduce dark patches just by adding more black, but that's clearly too much. I'm going to control shift click that. I want to see. Let's have a look. Oh, control shift click. No, control that. So let's have a look. No. So I'm just messing with these values. Maybe it's the scale. Maybe if I bring the scale down. Bring that up a bit more. Bear with me. I think the scale needs to be much bigger. Let's try that. Let's try that. Control right click. We don't want that. Back into the cycles. And clearly too much black. Right, I figured the problem I was having, and in honesty, I can't quite fathom why this problem is occurring, to be honest. I've put the thing in the wrong thing. Generated into vector, and then from the noise texture into the factor. So now when we bring this up, we should start to see gaps, which is what I was hoping for. Looks kind of smoky. And I'm going to bring our cube down because I don't want it to be all the way into the sky. So I'm just going to bring it so that our mist and fog is roughly just about here. I can see that the cow needs to move. He's no longer, just in case, because you need to edit, but you can't see through this. So if you want to hide something but not hide it, just so you can visibly click through it, if you select the fog and then under your thingy properties, your object properties, viewport display as bounds, and there where you can see in there, and you might as well lock that as well because we don't need to. I don't think we need to do anything else with that. So this tree is bothersome, so I'm gonna select this tree and just put it in a better place so it's not. Oh, I've selected both of them. Let me just head over into EV for a second and turn off my overlay. Do I want it behind? I mean, this is down to your own personal preference. I'm just setting the scene up a little bit. I want the tree to be affected somewhat by the light. This guy's got his head buried. Let's unbury him. He's clearly on a hill, Nick. So there we go. That's in positioned. This chap is obviously hanging in the air, and that's no good. And this guy is too tall. We'll just put in there. Okay. And what I did from the other scene is I grabbed a tree and then Alt-D'd it and put it closer to camera to kind of frame it a little bit, you know. Something. I'm going to bring it up. But obviously I don't want the leaves to be in the way. Let's have a look, and then if I head back over to cycles, turn off my overlay, and I'm going to just with the camera selected, let's set the depth of field, and I'm going to do this manually. I'm going to drop the f-stop down to like 1. It's not really possible, but and then I'm going to Control B, make a little window. I want to focus on this chap, so I'm just going to go up a bit more. In fact, you can do this in edit mode. No, because there's a thing and I can't be bothered. It's too much hassle, so I'm just going to do it like this. Let's have a look. Little chap. Oh, maybe a little bit more. Yeah, that looks cool. So now if I Control B, put a box back around it, we get that. Ah. As I say, with the trees, you can put more trees on them, more leaves on them. This actually is way, way, way too close to the camera because I haven't put a bump in it or anything, so I'm not happy with that. I want to hide that trunk a bit more. I'm moving the camera. I'm moving the camera. Right, let's try again. What on earth? What else am I just want to move the tree. I've still got the camera selected. Okay. So I just want to get that out of the way a bit. I don't want all those branches. Might be the other side for this one. Let's try that. Just to frame it a bit. There we go. And then I am going to render that at I'm going to try 500 samples. I'm going to render that. That's the wrong one. 500 in my render samples. Denoise it. Absolutely, absolutely. I'm going to render that, and then I'll pause it and come back. Okay, so that's what I got. What I noticed straight away is that the sky is too visible, so I just want to go back in, select that plane, and I'm going to lower the emission strength of that to, let's try 0.3. Even that's too bright. 0.2. Yeah, and I'm going to, I think, what is, and down here as well, I believe, is that, yeah. So very quickly, I'm just going to texture white paint this, because clearly some is needed here. Just simply that. Job done. Bosh. Okay, and then render that one, and then I'll come back. Okay, there we go. I'm pretty chuffed with that. You can add more lights if you want, make this less reflective, more visible. You can play around with it more, but overall, that's pretty much the scene. So that didn't take long, did it? Probably about 20 minutes. As I say, that's just the basis of it. You can reposition things, add more things. Maybe it's a car being sucked up, maybe it's a person. You want more smoke, you want more volumetrics, that type of thing. There's a lot you can do with that scene. That's, for me, that's just the base thing that you can work on and add to it more as and when you please. But that's it for now. So I've been Nick, you've been you. I'll see you in the next one. In a bit.